So I'm here today with our acting President and CEO, Andrés Rubio. This morning we have presented our interim results for the third quarter 2022. How would you summarize this quarter, Andrés?
Good morning, and thank you, Anna. So it was a very strong cash generative quarter, and with across the board underlying strong performance, despite what is a traditionally seasonally slow quarter, and as well as some very significant macro headwinds. So we generated 9% cash revenue growth, 4% cash EBITDA growth. All the markets are contributing, but in particular, the Southern European markets were very, very strong. Portfolio investments has been adapting to a new risk environment that we're all adapting to. So repricing, we underwrote during the quarter over 100 million euros, over 1 billion SEK, at an IRR of around 15% relative to historically over the prior 2 or 3 quarters of around 12%. So we're adjusting to a new risk environment and repricing. And in that environment, we would also expect to collect less. However, during the quarter, we collected at 106% of original forecast. So very strong performance on collections for PI. And to date, we're at 110. So you see some deceleration, but still a very strong performance. And then on servicing, collections are up. However, the volumes are more in invoices, which is natural given the state of the economy right now. The strong inflows are not yet coming from financial institutions, which we expect to come. We see every indication that they will come, and then those will drive our revenue and margin in the quarters to come. But overall, I'm very happy with the quarter.
Great to hear. And you're actually about 2 months into your role.
Correct.
What are your impressions of Intrum so far?
So I am, and I get this question often, as you can imagine, but I am incredibly impressed at the power of the platform and the commitment and the capability of the people. I think when you look at our numbers, 80,000 active clients, we speak to, communicate to 250,000 consumers a day. That's over 60 million a year. We have data in the past, or we've connected in the past with over 100 million consumers. We have 1 billion of third-party servicing revenue. We have 4 billion of portfolio investments, producing returns in the 12 to 15% unlevered area. You know, these are tremendous figures. No other player in the industry on a global basis has those figures. And it all sits on top of an operating platform, which has 10,000 people in 25 countries, which is operating at a very good level, although we can always do things better. I'll talk about that in a second. The second point that really has impressed me in the 2 months is the consistent quality and very high commitment of our people. We obviously use technology and we rely on processes in our business, but fundamentally this is a human capital business. And I am incredibly impressed at the consistency of high quality professionals and their commitment to our purpose. But despite these 2 things, we obviously have challenges, and I view every challenge as an opportunity, and we can always do better, and that's what I'm focusing on. But I'm incredibly impressed by the platform and by the potential of the platform and the people.
Great to hear. And talking about challenges, I mean, there is a pretty demanding macroeconomic backdrop, as we know now. What impact does this have on Intrum and our role in the economic environment?
Well, the strong macroeconomic headwinds are inevitably going to translate into increased unpaid claims and demand for our services. When you look at lower economic growth, higher inflation, when you look at more than 20% of European households are having trouble paying their energy bills, on top of that, interest rates are increasing. So therefore, not only are their energy bills going up, but their car loan or their mortgage is going up. There is an extreme pressure on the consumer right now. And that is natural, and in our quarterly results you see it, natural that it first manifests itself in invoices from industrial companies, utilities, telephone companies, energy companies who cannot those bills cannot be paid. Then it ultimately then translates into financial claims, which will lead to an increase in our case inflows and servicing. And then over time, as financial institutions get a grip on these new inflows, they generally look for capital solutions to dispose of them. And that's when it would impact our PI business in that order and in sequence. And it's very clear that it's coming. Stage 2 and UTP loans are increasing across the board. Stage 2 loans across the European financial system are reaching 10% of credit assets, which is a very high level. And inevitably, those will turn into NPLs and will flow into our servicing business, then our PI business. So it is a difficult environment, but it's an environment which plays to the strengths of our platform, and we should be seeing the benefit of that financially in the quarters to come.
And then looking a bit inwards again, but almost 2 years into the transformation program towards one Intrum, how is that progressing, would you say?
It is progressing. I think what is wonderful that is in my 2 months here, we have done a deep dive. We continue to review that program. We've done a deep dive and we have validated that the end state is something we desire and that the cost benefits that we estimated have been validated. And that's not to mention the fact that by becoming more efficient, we should get more business, and by becoming more functional, we should get more business. That's revenue that we don't even have in our numbers, but will absolutely come about. Now, what has happened is I have, and you'll see this in the quarterly numbers, we've taken a bit of a pause on case migrations to ensure that the quality of what we've already migrated is there, i.e. that we're functioning at the same or better level than before we migrated. And therefore, we can assure that that's the case in future migrations. And that's a focus on quality to make sure that our PI or our third-party clients don't lose functionality by virtue of our migration. But the direction is absolutely committed to. The end state is agreed and validated. I will come back with a more detailed overview of this in the first quarter of next year after the year-end results.
And looking ahead, looking into next year and beyond, what will be your and Intrum's priorities going forward?
Well, the priorities are in times of difficulty to stay close to our clients. You have to stay close to your clients, and actually, a time where it's even more important for us to do what we've always done, which is treat consumers with solutions in a constructive, dignified, ethical manner. It's these times where our values are most necessary and most shine through, actually. So stay close to clients as they're going to need us more and more, and then continue with our core values and how we treat consumers. And in this regard, I want to just highlight one statistic that I'm very proud of, and that every time I speak about Intrum, it really grounds me. And it speaks to the importance of what we do here. This year, to date, in about 10 months, we have helped over 2.5 million consumers repay their debt and reintegrate and normalize their relationship with the financial system. We often talk about sustainability in an environmental context, which is incredibly important. But what we do is fundamental to the sustainability and the proper functioning of the financial system. And what's wonderful is we have a very profitable platform, but we also do a lot of good for society, which is something that, as I said earlier, grounds me and keeps me motivated every day. And I think is part of the commitment and motivation I mentioned at the beginning that is across the board evident in our employee base.
So we can maybe summarize it with Intrum's purpose is very valid, leading the way to a sound economy for our stakeholders.
Exactly. I think that's precisely what we do. We serve all our stakeholders with dignity, with ethics, with professionalism, with commitment. And as a result, we produce good results, financial results, but we also do a lot of good for society.
Great. Thank you so much, Andrés.
Thank you, Anna.